Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. In this video, Gong Fu Guru, the unboxing. Finally, I'm going to introduce you to the Gong Fu Guru. We're going to talk about the background of this tea set, and then we're going to take a look inside the box. This video is going to go onto the Tea Ware's playlist. If at any point in time you enjoy this video, then please give the video the thumbs up. The more thumbs in the air, the more tea videos are going to come your way. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, then go click that button. The Gong Fu Guru is finally here. This has been the culmination of nearly 5 years of work. And for those of you who have been waiting for it, I know it's quite a hotly anticipated product. We've been receiving messages on email, Facebook, YouTube about when this is going to be available. For those of you who have been waiting, I really am sorry that it has taken so long. But I want to tell you the story behind it so that you can understand why it has taken so long. It all started about 5 years ago. We've been selling Gong Fu tea trays and Gong Fu tea sets for nearly 10 years. But about 5 years ago, I sat down and I said, I really feel that there's a product that's missing from the market. I wanted a Gong Fu set that, number one, contained high quality teaware and was a really high quality set. All contained, self-contained, so you could pick it off the shelf and you could start Gong Fu brewing like a pro immediately. Something that was transportable, something that you could bring to your friend's place, that had everything that you needed in it. That was one of the requirements that I felt was necessary. The second requirement was based on design. Now we all know that tea has a rich cultural history. It has over 4,000 years of history and a really, really rich heritage. But I felt that so much of the design of Gong Fu sets, Gong Fu trays, was based upon very, very kind of ancient designs, calligraphy, or tea characters, or botanical engravings, things like that, which were very pretty, but really didn't represent tea as I felt tea needed to be represented, which is that tea may have a long history, but it's also fresh and modern, and it's just as relevant today as it was 4,000 years ago. And there needed to be design in this that was modern, that was beautiful and elegant and fresh. So we started looking. About 5 years ago, I set about looking. We searched high and low over China. Believe me, we searched everywhere. And we found that there was nothing on the market that could satisfy those two requirements. There were self-contained Gong Fu sets, but they were much more little small travel sets, very low quality teaware with kind of a very small bamboo tea tray that was designed for you to kind of take on a picnic or throw in your hand luggage if you were traveling, but nothing that you would bring out with your friends and put on your dining room table and sit and be able to have a nice amount of space for convenient Gong Fu brewing. So there was nothing really on the market that was transportable and self-contained. The second thing was design. Really, for those of you who have been searching for tea trays, and I know that there are a lot out there, you know, the designs are pretty old hat. Very pretty, very elegant, you know, they look nice enough, but again, very old, very based upon kind of old designs, calligraphy, characters, botanical, plants, etc. And so about 3 years ago, we stopped looking. We had to pull the plug on the search, and I decided that we had to design and make this set ourselves. The design really didn't take long at all. I knew in my head what I wanted, so I sat down, did the designs, and we started to try and find a producer. Now, anybody who's dealt with China will know that the minimum order requirements from China are ridiculous. And any manufacturer that we approached was asking for a minimum of 5,000 to 10,000 units. Now, I was not prepared to purchase 5,000 to 10,000 units of a Gong Fu tray that I had not tested out yet. And so we set about trying to find small producers that were prepared to individually make a small number of these Gong Fu Gurus. Eventually, we found some factory in China near Shanghai, and we started to send designs back and forth. The designs were adapted slightly, but eventually we were ready to produce. However, I had a little sneaking suspicion from the emails that I was receiving that things weren't exactly as clear as I wanted. And so I decided to fly over to China. So I flew over to Shanghai, took a 2-hour taxi ride from Shanghai to this factory, went in to talk to them to make sure before production that it was going to turn out right. And my heart literally sank. I could not believe when I saw what was happening at this factory. I really thought this isn't going to work. The tools that they were using, the way that they were planning to carve out the design was really, really not going to look good. And so I had to make a very difficult decision. We had obviously spent a lot of money and spent a lot of resources and time, and we had already paid for the production, but I had to pull the plug because I felt that it was not going to turn out right, and we had to try and get some of our money back. And so we had to part ways with that producer. Eventually, after another, probably I would say 6 to 8 months of searching, we found another supplier that was prepared to make these individually for us. And so again, the designs went back and forth, there were some changes, etc., etc. Eventually we got to the point where production happened, and in December 2015, we received the Gong Fu Gurus, and we were all excited, very, very happy. They looked beautiful. We even put it on the website temporarily for sale, but we found a fault. So this was the bamboo tea trays, the bamboo water catchers that we received. I hope you agree that they are very, very beautiful. Laser cut bamboo, lovely design, and we were very, very happy with them. But we thought we need to road test the Gong Fu Guru. We tested it out over long sessions, and we found that if you brewed for long sessions and you left water in the water tray below, that the bamboo started to warp. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see that you might be able to see that there's a slight bend in this bamboo. My heart sank again. It was not a good day in the office when we realized that we had lots and lots of these and that they were going to warp if you started to do excessively long sessions, longer than a couple of hours. And so we had to set about trying to find a solution. And so we pulled it from the website, we stopped sale, and we started searching for a way to properly waterproof this bamboo. Now, bamboo should be waterproof, and the trays that are in here are waterproof. We had to find out from the manufacturer why. There was a lot of confusion, but eventually we found out that because of a technicality in the way that they had cut the bamboo from young bamboo, that this was not going to work unless we could waterproof it more solidly. So we started to contact boat manufacturers. We started to find the most advanced varnishes, solvents that you could use to impregnate into this wood in order for it to be waterproof fully. And we failed. Basically, we tried everything, and no matter what we did, if we had long Gong Fu sessions, the wood would start to warp again. And so I had to grudgingly give up on this, put this aside, and try and find another solution. And so we moved to acrylic. So this is a prototype that was done with acrylic. We had a couple done. You can see there's clear acrylic, we had white acrylic. And these worked, obviously very waterproof, completely waterproof, so they weren't bending. But I got annoyed about this. Can you see how the design starts to disappear when you look at it from an angle? And that means that you would only see the beauty of the Gong Fu Guru design if you were brewing and you were looking straight down onto it. If anybody was looking from the side, they would just see that, right? You can see the difference. Now, a lot of people told me, no, it's fine, put it to sell, it's still very pretty and it works and it's very functional. But again, I had to make a decision and I decided to pull it. So we decided not to use acrylic either. Eventually, we found our solution, and the solution is inside this box. But I thought I would tell you the whole story just so that you understand what we've gone through and the reason why it has taken so long. But finally, it is here. It has been road tested. We know that this is the product that we have always been wanting, and we're going to pull the camera around now and you're going to take a look at the Gong Fu Guru unboxing. So let's start with the box. The box has been printed with the Gongfu Guru pattern. All of the sides have got print work on them. And I really recommend that you keep hold of the box, because if you want to transport this, maybe bring the Gongfu Guru to a friend's place, maybe put it in the back of the car if you're planning to travel somewhere, then this is the best way to transport it, in its box, because it's the perfect size. And as you'll see, when I open it, all sides are padded with this white foam. So you've got white foam on top, you've also got white foam all the way down the sides and also at the bottom. So keep hold of the box, that way that you can transport it safely without potential of damaging it. Okay, are you ready to see our solution to the water catcher problem? Here it is, and I hope that you can agree that this is quite something. So this is stainless steel, 3mm, laser cut, laser engraved and electroplated in a lovely brushed copper rose gold color. You can see the shine on it, the sheen on it. It is I'm so happy with this, and it was worth all of the heartache of not having the bamboo or the acrylic. This really is, I hope you agree, pretty special. So this is the water catcher. You've got a hole for the strainer, as you can see, and it fits all strainers as long as it's the Chinese style strainer. And the whole of the top half, so this bamboo edging here, comes off and reveals, so this is the wet area, and it reveals the dry area underneath. So one of the key design elements of the Gongfu Guru is that we've split the tray into a wet tray and a dry tray. So the dry tray is obviously where you keep all of your dry teaware. You could also keep your tea. You could also, put cakes in here, whatever you would like to do. There's quite a lot of space above all this teaware for you to store more things, so you can store other teaware. Of course, we understand that many of you have your own teaware, so you can add to this. So this is a really nice way to store your teaware safely. And to make sure it's safe, we cut foam. So you can see here, we cut foam with the exact size for the teaware so it doesn't rattle around. That was something else that we felt was really important. Let's quickly go through the teaware that is included, and we'll do a proper session in a little bit so you can see all of the teaware in action. But just so you can get an overview, we have one properly half handmade Yixing clay pot. This is a real Yixing clay pot. It's half handmade. For those of you interested in this clay pot, I'll put a link in the description of a video or a couple of videos that we did just about this clay pot. But you can see this is a very, very nice Yixing clay pot. You also get a glass pot. Let me just take this bubble wrap off. So you get a glass pot in there, and both of these pots are 200 ml. So this is the kind of right size for group brewing. It may be a bit too big for single brewing, but anybody who does single brewing can put less leaf and a little bit less water, or you may have your own personal gaiwans and things like that. But we felt that the Gongfu Guru was really about trying to make sure that people could brew Gongfu style for groups. So they're 200 ml pots, so glass pot and a clay pot. We've got a porcelain Gong Dao Bei here with a lovely pouring action, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. We've got matching 4 cups. Again, we'll talk about that in a second, so you can see why I selected these cups out of many that I could have picked. We also have inside here, let me just pull this open. So we've got a towel. A towel is one of the most important and underlooked things when you're Gongfu brewing. There will be spillages, and it's just so nice to have an absorbent towel designed for tea, which you can just easily mop up any spillages. You can wipe the underside of the cups so that when you serve your tea to guests, you're not serving them cups that have a wet underside that may bother them. If you unravel this towel, you can see that included also is some tea tools. So we've got a scoop here and we've got some tweezers. Again, we felt that these were the most important tools. You can use the back of the tweezers here to scoop tea. So you don't need the full set of tea tools, but these are the most important ones. So we've included tea tools, and we've also included our water buffalo teapet that changes color when you put hot water on it. So it goes a beautiful flushing gold color when you put hot water over it or you pour your tea wash over it. So these are all the things that are included in the Gong Fu Guru in terms of teaware, and also this large tray, storage tray for you to keep your dry teas or your own teaware. Okay, I'm going to bring the camera around again and you're going to see the Gong Fu Guru unboxed. The Gong Fu Guru is unboxed, so let's go through it. The Gong Fu Guru is split up into two sections. The first is the wet tray with the water catcher, and the second is the dry storage tray underneath. And you can see that these two bamboo trays come off and link up very neatly together. So one of the things that I found really annoying with other self-contained units is that they did not have a dry storage area. So all of your teaware was within the water tray. So that meant that when you wanted to do a session, you needed to take your tea tray, open this up, choose the teaware that you wanted, put the other teaware somewhere else, just kind of lying around. And then you would have to make sure that it was completely dry before you put everything back in. This solves that problem because you can leave this on the shelf. You can decide to do a Gong Fu session. You take this off, bring it to your table, choose the teaware you want, make as much mess as you want, clean it up. Once it's dry, completely dry, then you can return it. And that means that you can store tea in here, you can store other teaware because it's going to stay completely dry and well away from your Gong Fu session. And if your Gong Fu sessions are anything like mine, then they can get a little bit messy. Okay, you'll see here that we've put finger grooves on both the wet tray and the dry tray so that when you pick them up, you can pick them up from the right area. Always pick them up from the finger grooves or from underneath the box. Don't pick up from the sides. We've also got little catches here so you can easily link the two together. This again prevents accidents from happening if you mistakenly think that they're connected and then it drops. This way they're linked together so it's completely safe. Right, let's unlink. Let's move this out of the way and let's just concentrate on the wet tray. So it's branded China Life. You can see it's got a hot stamp China Life in here. This was designed before we were about to launch Mayleaf. So you can see there's a bit of history here. This is a China Life branded tray. Bamboo, completely waterproof, nice capacity in there. So you can do fairly long sessions without worrying about being over full. We tried to make the footprint of this the perfect size so that you had enough space to work, but it wasn't going to take up a lot of room. So we found with a lot of experimentation that this is the perfect footprint for a very convenient Gong Fu set. You've seen the water catcher, but it's worth showing you again. I'm very, very proud of this. Laser cut, laser etched, electroplated, 3mm thick stainless steel plate. And it really is amazing. It looks, I hope you agree, it looks beautiful, really nice, fresh design and solid. This set has been road tested to the max. Anybody who's watched our most recent YouTube videos will see that we've used it and used it and used it for the past few months just to make sure 100% that it's exactly what we want, and we are thrilled with it. Then you have this hole here. This hole here serves three purposes. The first purpose is an easy way to take the tray out, so you don't need anything else but this hole to take the tray out. The second purpose is to store the strainer. This is one of the things that really always used to wind me up with other sets, is that you would be using the strainer to filter the tea, and then where do you put the strainer? Sometimes there's like little hands that you're meant to put them on, or little stands, but generally they would just be lying around and getting in the way. This way, it's always there when you need it. It's very, very simple, and it looks the part too. The third purpose of this hole is that you can see when the tray is starting to get full. How many times, if you've ever used a self-contained Gong Fu water catcher tray, how many times have you forgotten to empty the water, and by the time you've realized that it's getting full, it's too late, it's really full, and then you have to somehow navigate your way to a sink nearby without making a mess and spilling it everywhere? Believe me, I have spilt much tea rinse over the floors in that way. This way, because you have this space here, the water level starts to rise, and when you can start to see the water at the bottom of the filter, in other words, when you put the filter down and the water level starts to rise above the bottom of this filter, you know you're about 2/3, a half to 2/3 full, and it's time to safely and easily empty your tray. So it has those three purposes, really, really nice, efficient way of achieving those aims. Okay, so that's the water tray and water catcher, hole and strainer. Let's move on to the tea ware. So as I said, first and foremost, you have a nice tea towel. Tea towels are very, very useful. So what I like to do is I like to fold this in thirds, put this next to me. So when I'm brewing, all I need to do is if there's any spillages, I can wipe immediately, or if you're pouring into a cup and it's a bit wet, the water catcher, all you can do is just rub on the bottom so that when you serve your tea, you don't have a wet underneath of the cup. So very, very useful. You got your tea tools, a scoop, which can be very useful, and tweezers if you want to use it. If you don't want to use your hands, you can use tweezers to be a little bit more professional about your tipping out of tea rinse, etc. So these are useful. There are other tea tools that people may have. You can keep them in the storage area. There's a nice area that we've cut out of the foam here, so you can keep your tea tools there if you wanted other tea tools, but we felt that this was all that you really needed. As I said, you can use the back of these tweezers as scoops, so you can scoop into your teaware that way. So these are very useful. Then you have your water buffalo that changes color. It's always nice to have a teapet. Okay, let's look at the teaware. As I said before, you have a 200 ml Yixing clay pot, half handmade, and there will be a link in the description for you to find out more about this authentic Yixing clay pot. We also have a glass pot here, and this has a stainless steel coil filter here, so it will filter some of the leaves, but of course you're also going to be going in through the strainer as well, so you'll be pouring this way, but it's really, really great. So you have two pots, both the same size. Now, I would recommend that you use this for all of your tea, especially green tea, because it's glass, it conducts heat quicker away, so it means you're not going to scald your tea. So I would use this for my green teas, but you can use this for pretty much any tea you would like. And of course, the decision needs to be made for whoever buys a Gongfu Guru as to what you're going to use your clay pot for. Up to you. You can, if you want to be really picky, use it for only one tea type. If you want to season and cure your clay so that it's suitable for only one type of tea. Or if you wanted, you can use it for multiple types of tea, because really one of the main benefits of using a clay pot is that the heat conductivity is very much slower, so it maintains its heat, and also the minerals in the clay actually help to improve the flavor and texture of the tea. So any dark teas, any teas that are roasted or heavily roasted, or medium to dark oxidized teas, I would say are suitable for using the Yixing clay pot. But you have a choice, and that's what's key here. You can go for the glass as your everyday brewing and choose what you would like to use your Yixing clay pot for. Then you have a porcelain kind of celadon green colored porcelain pourer with a really nice pouring action. Very nice, fits the strainer very nicely. Great pouring action. And you have your matching cups. Now, believe it or not, these cups Took a long time to find. I am very picky with my cups. I hate cups that have the wrong shape. Let me give you an example. So this is from another tea set that we have. And can you see that the sides of this teacup start to move inwards and they curve inwards? And it's very pretty, I think. It has a nice aesthetic, a nice look about it. The annoying thing is that when you're drinking your tea, you get to this point and you think you're finished, but because it's got this little groove here, it's keeping tea. And so you've got to really strain your neck to get to the last drop of tea. That kind of winds me up. I'm very picky about things like that. So I didn't like that. There are other teacups that have a nice side, so you can drink very easily, but they go to a very narrow base, so they easily spill over. You may have seen them, so they're very kind of triangular shaped. Again, didn't like any of those. The point was to get one that's solid, that's sturdy, that doesn't fall over easily, and has this great size to it so that it's very easy to drink, right? So for me, if I'm drinking like this, it's very easy. I don't have to tilt my head back. It may sound ridiculous to you, but these kind of things are what we were thinking about when we were choosing our cups. Now, the material used to make this is this craquelure material. So when you use it, over time, it'll start to develop tea stains. Let me see if I can get a focus on that. We'll try to get a close-up of the cup so that you can see that pattern, but it's a really nice pattern that develops. And as you use the Gong Fu Guru, as you drink more and more tea, you'll start to see the pattern reveal itself in strength in the Gong Dao Bei and the teacups. It's a really nice way of kind of mapping your tea journey. Okay, we're going to do another video on how to brew with the Gong Fu Guru. But before we go, I just wanted to talk about maintenance to make sure you're keeping your Gong Fu Guru in perfect condition. So the first thing, as I said before, is always use the finger grooves to pick up the trays, or use the bottom of the trays. Do not pick up from the sides, as this could potentially cause damage. All of these trays are individually made. The whole thing is individually made, and so you'll see slight imperfections around little parts where the wood grain is showing. That's completely normal, and it is very solidly made, but I would always advise using the finger grooves. The second thing is making sure that you dry your wet teaware and your wet tray thoroughly before joining it back onto the dry storage area, for obvious reasons. If you've got tea in the dry storage area and you put any wet teaware in, it can compromise the quality of the tea. Also, please, after your Gong Fu session, don't just leave the tea wash in the bottom of the tray for overnight and come back the next morning. It's fine, it can handle it, but it's not going to be the best for the tea tray. It'll start to stain a little bit too much. So I always advise after every session, make sure you rinse the teaware out, rinse the tray out, give it a dry, and then leave it to dry properly so that you don't develop too much tea stains. If you do develop tea stains on the stainless steel water catcher or on the tea tray below, then the easiest way to clean it is by using a stain remover. There are many tea stain removers out there, and you're literally soaking it in a stain remover and giving it a very gentle rinse. Do not use harsh abrasives on this stainless steel water catcher. You will scratch it if you use harsh abrasives. It's fine in everyday use. You can bang cups up and down on it, but don't start using those harsh abrasive cleaners or kind of steel pads to try and get tea stains off. The best thing to do is soak it in a stain remover. I think that about covers everything. As I said, we're going to be doing a video on how to brew using the Gong Fu Guru, so make sure you tune into that episode. But that's it, tea heads. If you made it to the end of this video, then please give the video the thumbs up. Check out our YouTube playlist and let us know if there are any videos that you would like us to make. If you're ever in London, then come visit us in Camden to say hi and taste our wares. If you have any questions or comments, then please fire them over. Other than that, I'm Don May from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from the tea bags, keep drinking the good stuff, and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.